What does Jesus actually mean to you? Like, think about it. I think a lot of people pray when they need something, when you have needs that need to be met. Or, if you really want something, you pray about getting that. They come to Christ when they're desperate, when they need something. But when things are going well, they kind of just tend to forget about him. Christ isn't a genie, right? Us as humans, we're flawed. We want to feed our own flesh. What our flesh wants isn't what the spirit wants. They conflict with each other. If I'm in my flesh, I don't necessarily want to spend time with the Lord. But yeah, we live in a time where people, they don't really take a relationship with Christ seriously, or they don't really have like a great understanding of what it actually means to be a follower of Christ. Something that comes to mind in Luke 14, it says, this is Jesus speaking here, in the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples. As Christians, we need to be willing and able to lay everything at the foot of the cross, give it all over to God, because when we step in this relationship with Christ, we've been born again, and God has, before time even started, giving us a calling. He's given us a purpose on this earth. In Ephesians, it says that God has works that he has predestined us to do. So, when we come into this relationship with Christ, he wants to lead us onto this path that he has planned for us. And to do that, you're going to have to give things up. One of the things that you'd have to do especially is crucify your flesh. I love this verse. I think I've used it in a lot of videos. Luke 6:46, Jesus speaking says, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? Lord means master. If I'm calling somebody my master, that means I'm subservient to them. But people call Jesus Lord, but they're not living like it. They don't actually know him. They don't spend time with him. To know Christ is to have this transformation, because knowing Christ comes with, your initial salvation when you receive him, but also sanctification. That process that you go through, a lifelong process of renewal, being molded into something greater, to somebody who isn't living a lifestyle of sin. And obviously, as I mentioned, we're flawed. We're going to fall, but sanctification is that process of not living in it, of changing the way that we think and act. And especially once you become a Christian, it's essential that you read the word, that you pray, that you spend time in worship, because it helps edify you spiritually. In 1 Corinthians, it says, I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. There are things that, well, sure, you can do it. They don't help you in any sort of way. And also on the flip side of that, there's things that you do, and it's very beneficial for you. People have been saying forever that Christ is going to return soon, but Jesus gave this parable. And I'm going to read it here. It's Matthew chapter 25. It says, at that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, the cry rang out, here's the bridegroom. Come out to meet him. Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out. No, they replied. There may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. But while they were on their way to buy oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others also came. Lord, Lord, they said, open the door for us. But he replied, truly, I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. Now, while this is talking about the return of Christ, you don't know when you're going to die. You don't know when you're going to slip into eternity. The Bible makes it clear that there are people that will call themselves Christians. They're going to do these works. They're going to cast out demons, heal the sick. But they're not going to make it into the kingdom of heaven, because they weren't actually walking the walk. They didn't know Christ. That's why it's essential to take your faith seriously. We have a limited amount of time on this earth, and this limited time on this earth that we get here, it determines where you're going to be for eternity. You're either going to be with God in glory in paradise, or in a place that is described as fire, as weeping and gnashing of teeth. The good thing about this walk is that once Jesus left, once he ascended to heaven, we now are able to receive the Holy Spirit, who guides us through life, who is always with us. So, you're not alone in this walk, because the Lord is always with you.